What's up, everybody? Welcome back again to the uPOW podcast, season 2, your source for motivation, inspiration, and information. I don't feel like I need to say season 2 every single episode, but I'm just excited about it, if I'm being completely honest. Today, we have an awesome guest back with us for the second time, Trey Radcliff. Trey is joining us from Indianapolis, Indiana, and the last time he was here, Trey was just a buddy of ours, and I say just a buddy of ours, and former training partner of mine and everything. But he has since joined our uPOW team as our project manager. He's been helping us do all kinds of stuff, and mostly the stuff that I don't even really know how to do. So it's been great having Trey on. First and foremost, buddy, I'd like just a quick life update from you. Go ahead and give us a check-in. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know how you're adjusting to your role here at uPOW, and actually why uPOW. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just, wellness update in general, going off of working with uPOW, it has also just kept me in tune with paying attention to wellness a lot more, which I already think I do a ton in life. I'm very I get a little obsessed with like, how long can I live and all this stuff. I know I do it with everything, but working with it just like makes me make every day like little changes or, say no to things, just because I'm more constantly, it's like more in the conscious mind than like subconsciously. So things have been good. I think last time I was on here, I didn't have a job.
You definitely
didn't. Yeah. So if you guys didn't see the last show, I had been working at GNC for 3 years, the nutritional centers, as a sales manager, bouncing around I started in the New York area, and then I was all around Indiana. I was good at it. Loved the sales aspect, loved supplementation, and just, changing people's lives one customer at a time. But, lost my taste in that area just because there was no room for like healthy growth, at least for me. Driving that corporate ladder, climbing that corporate ladder just wasn't right. So left the job last August of 2020. Now it's almost May 2021, and I feel a lot better. I feel that even though I've lost job safety net, even especially like during COVID, I feel happier, and that's just because I've made a lot of changes, and just being in that retail store box like 40 hours a week, paying attention to my employees every single day was just unhealthy. And so I'm happy to be out of there. I am, and like, it's funny because I'm going to say right now I'm bartending on the weekends, and that's like the opposite way of wellness. When you think about it, you're like, oh, you work in a nightclub, you're up until 3, 4, 5 a.m. like bartending, and then counting your money, cleaning the bar, and all this stuff. Like, how can that be healthy? You're surrounded by it. And I think I thrive in the nightlife industry, and it's an industry that I'm interested in. Like, it's a big hobby of mine as far as like concerts and all that stuff, not drinking until 3 a.m. So it's changed my environment of work, which has made me really happy. And I'm not the kind that's too paranoid about cash flow all the time. So it hasn't been giving me a lot of stress for that reasons. So that's a quick update. I've got a lot of free time, 5 days a week, only working Fridays and Saturday nights. So yeah, but I feel good. I feel like my diet's more on track. My training is more on track, and we can dive more into that too.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel good. I feel good.
That's good. I was gonna say because last time you were in sort of a transitional period, and you were in kind of, I think we described it as like getting back to your roots, and sort of using that period for I'm trying to think of what I said, like like rebirth, reestablishment, kind of just getting in touch with you and kind of like going your own way and figuring out what way you wanted to go. You'd kind of been thrown into GNC right after being a bodybuilder, and that's one of the natural things to do. And so I think you kind of got
It-
looped
yeah.
into that, kind of pigeonholed a little bit. And so it was very
Hmm.
powerful to see you kind of say, no, I'm gonna go against the norm and actually leave your comfortable 40-hour-a-week job and go to being a bartender. So
Hmm.
I guess one thing I want to touch on is, why uPOW? Why being a project manager? Is this something that you're wanting to go into this field? You're wanting to start your own business? You're wanting to keep working with us? What are you thinking there?
Uh, a lot of people have told me, just based on who I am as a person and my skills as far as like work goes, being organized and on task. I've always been told that I would be good in project management. And even during the time that I was looking for jobs before I was with you guys, it was a lot of the places I was interviewing for was like project management. It just wasn't in the right industry. So I never ended up going with a lot of those or any of those positions. But Austin on uPOW reached out to me, and we've been lifelong friends. And he said, "Hey, I have a great opportunity for you. I think you'd be really good at this. Let's just see how it goes." So it started kind of as a test run, and it's been great so far. I hope.
Yeah, hey, you're doing good work for us. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of like, I think what I mean, especially people listening, if you've never started a podcast or really like gone after like building a business out or anything like that, like a lot of the little stuff can like, oh my goodness, get on top of you. And I'm one of the people like, if like the roof is on fire, I'm cool, right? Whatever. I can deal with big problems, no problem, right?
Uh-huh.
If like I have 5 little problems in front of me, like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have a like freaking panic attack. Like I cannot
Yeah.
deal with like a mountain of little issues. Even though like by the time you solve one, you solved all 6 and it's done. The roof being on fire is a way bigger deal. But in my mind, I'm like, well, that's just one thing. I can do that.
Right. I
But
love
no,
that.
it's been awesome having you on to kind of again help us make sure that we stay on track, help us make sure that no one is forgetting things and making sure that everything's kind of been a little more seamless having a dedicated person to help us all stay on track. And I mean, it's even better that's you're one of our best friends. I was gonna say, in in diving right into this, now that we've gotten your update, glad to see you're doing well, bud. So in diving right
Yes,
into
sir.
this, we've been talking about physical wellness and looking at wellness or looking at fitness, I'm sorry, through a wellness lens, a wellness perspective. And in my episode last week, or I guess whenever order you watch these in or they come out in my episode, I talked about how even today I really struggle with wellness and fitness. And it's one of those things where I'm much more likely to go the other way and go back into my roots as a bodybuilder and really try to push the envelope that way than I am to actually try and build something out sustainable for myself. I'm
Hmm.
I'm very good at programming for clients and everything else. I want to preface that for everybody, because it's when I put it on paper, it's easy to do, right? Like I can build stuff out. I know exactly how to do X, Y, and Z. It looks good. I'm good to go. I'll do the same thing for myself. I'll walk in the gym and I'll go, well, I could do 5 sets of 100. I mean, why would I stop there? That don't make no sense. Whatever. I used to do way more than that, and it immediately goes out the window. So I guess I guess why don't we just open up with that? Let's just talk about it, because I know that whenever we were all the way jammed into like non-fitness hardcore bodybuilding, I know you were right there with me along with Matt Samansky. So why don't we open up with
Absolutely.
that? Why don't we talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. Well, on a positive note, man, like having that in the history and just having years of that dedicated kind of crazy, like 110% or nothing, like, yeah, it might be affecting my joints nowadays and stuff,
You
but
ain't lying.
like
You ain't
the man,
lying.
yeah, dude, like, oh my God, like, just touching on that, like, I got up to like 215 pounds, and like, I'm a small build, like, I don't know if you can tell, but like, my dad was a runner, my mom was super tiny, like, I was built to be tiny, and
You were a cross
putting
country
on
runner in high school, right?
I did cross country, I did tennis, like I did the
Yeah,
pretty boy sports. Like I was supposed to be just teen. That's what everybody called me, pretty boy. um,
we still do. It's
but
fine.
yeah, yeah. But putting that much weight on was just like my body was like, no, like, what are you doing? Like I would, whether it was walking up the stairs or just having daily energy, I knew that I was putting my body in an unnatural like state. And maybe I was doing it wrong partially, but like way too much carbs, like 6,000 calories. Maybe that was part of it too. But like I could tell that it was just like taxing on the body. But and I'm sure you have similar stories with that too. And I'm sure a lot of people watching have like similar shit where they're like, well, I don't do that anymore because it just doesn't, and your body disagrees with you. Just like whey protein shakes disagree with me now. Like I lactose intolerant, and
Can't
so
do it at
is
all.
probably 100% of bodybuilders who have been drinking protein for at least 5 years.
Yeah. I was actually,
But
I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to touch on that real quick
no, yeah,
because you put on like almost 100 pounds. Like, weren't you like when you ran, you were like what, 130, you know,
yeah,
130,
no,
140, and
I
you
mean,
topped out what, 215 when we were training together? Like,
yeah, I honestly haven't thought about it like that because I always started my growth phase from when I started lifting and like first year in college. Because I think in high school, I was about 120 pounds naturally. And
right.
then I started lifting in my first year of college. I put like 20 pounds on, and then like I did the freshman 20, and then I did like the freshman sophomore 20.
Right.
And then I just really threw it on. But yeah, I haven't actually thought about it in like terms of high school number to like the actual beginning of my lifting days to like the max of my lifting days. And yeah, it was around 90 pounds or more. It was, yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
not
that's not a
normal.
natural, like no one puts on 100 pounds of muscle in 4 years. I mean, like, and it's,
Goodness.
it's funny too, because like I'm one of them people, like I'd say I'm almost the opposite of you, right? Where you're an ecto, I'm an endo. And like
Mhm.
I'm very, very comfortable at 300 pounds. Like I can run, I can jump. I ran a 730 mile at 290 pounds. Like very comfortable being considerably bigger, So the fact that you had to
Yeah.
tack on 90 pounds of muscle, to get to the same, quote unquote bodybuilding dream that we had, that's crazy.
Oh yeah. Like I'm still like on the come down. I feel like I'm still losing weight. Like I'm still training and I still love bodybuilding at least 3 to 5 days a week. My weight strength that I'm like the amount of weight I'm trying to push is a lot less. I'm focused more on um a lot more reps, a lot more pump and all that stuff. But um yeah, I feel like I'm still coming down from that weight, and it it feels a lot healthier as I'm like doing this.
Yeah.
But to get oh, I was gonna say, sorry, I was gonna say like even now I'm trying to run again and start to do more cardio work, which is what I did in high school and was more of my gift. Like
Mhm.
my dad did it and everything. He was a super fast runner. Um, like my body's still like not quite there yet. It's still like, dude, what are you doing? Like I'm trying to run at like a 7 minute mile pace for multiple miles, and I'm just gassed like
Yeah.
instantly. I'm like, I used to be a lot quicker, and it's just crazy to see that. But to circle all the way back, um, and talk about like our serious training and everything,
Mm.
even with all of that, there was just a huge like mental gain from that I have just like taken on through the
Mhm.
years, through the rest of college and through life. Just having that, you know, crazy mentality of like, I'm gonna run through a brick wall. Like if I did this in the gym and I pushed 1,000 pounds, then what's getting this job? What's
Right.
moving across the country? Like it's just everything seems a lot easier. When you and me and you like put ourselves in the dungeon for like 2 to 3 hours daily, just like absolute wrecking our bodies.
Yeah. And it was,
Yeah,
it was funny too that we had such a similar mentality, and when we added little Matt into the group, I mean, that guy was sick in the head. It was just
he
like, well,
was.
like,
Oh
let's do
man.
20. What 20? Let's do 50. If we're doing 50, we're doing 100, like, and then like
Yeah,
all of a sudden, like this like should have been basically a warm up turned into like we're crawling to the next thing. Like
yeah.
it was just absolute insanity. And what's crazy too is I think back on those workouts and all I can do is smile because I'm like, I cannot believe we made it through that. Like,
Oh yeah.
if I did one of those
That's
now, I would probably literally die. Like, they're just the insanity of the weight we moved and the times we did it, you know. But then I also, I don't know if you do this too, but I think back on like the rest of the time, and I think back on like my 2.1 undergrad GPA, and I think back on like, you know, yeah, we had some parties, we had some good
mhm.
times, but what did we do outside of like in the gym, and then we went and got food, and then sometimes we went to class, right? Like,
Dude, I know we paid or slash our parents paid so much money for us to just go hang out with our boys, lift, and use our meal points. Like that's all we did
yeah,
was
I
wake
paid
up,
for mine,
watch
but yeah.
motivational. Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna
well,
take you some
okay,
money every now and again, but yeah.
no, no, I'm still in debt too, but yeah, I did have some help. But like wake up, watch motivational videos, eat. Like you're waiting on me to get around and everything, and just then hit it. Um, and hit the food court at least what like 4 times a day, like
Dude, I
just
would be out of meal points like
instantly.
a couple months. Like it's supposed to be half a year. I'm like 2 months in. I'm like, and then we're going
Yeah,
to get like,
you got like 15 credit like dollars like on your tray, and it's like September. It's like the first month of school, October, and they're like, so we see that your balance has like 23 left on it, and you're like, oh my god, I have one meal left.
yeah, it's nuts. And then we'd like go to Walmart and like buy slash steal like all the beef jerky and like just whatever, like, oh, it's got protein in it. Cool. Let's load it up.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
cans of
yeah. Even
tuna.
the
Uh
Oh yeah, dude. Even the bread, we had to get the bread that said protein nut bread or something, where it had like 8 grams a slice or something.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was, dude. It was almost like we were those bros. Like when you look back at it, sort of like where you're just like protein, protein, protein. You know that
Mhm.
you think of now. It's funny how that kind of translates from back then.
Yeah.
But
You know,
goodness
it's
gracious, we had some good
good.
times.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all
No,
I have.
I was gonna say it's funny because like if you like I actually said this on my interview this season was, you know, bodybuilding costs me a lot, you know, money, friendships, you know, you could argue relationships, you know, you definitely
Hmm.
oh my god, my elbow, my knee, my back, my neck, you know, I mean like everything
Hmm.
is totally screwed up. I'm in pain every day because of certain things,
Yeah,
but at the same time like I wouldn't trade it because it also gave me some of the best friendships, you know,
yeah,
lifelong. I would have started this company if it wasn't for this, you know. I mean, we never would have. Yeah, there's so many things like in terms of like drive and dedication and just being, you know, being a strong-willed human being that I learned in the gym, you know.
hmm, yeah. And it's crazy from both of our backgrounds how this is what we chose. This is the area we like fell into. Like coming from me, track, tennis. How did I get into bodybuilding and then go this route? Like I understand the wellness piece of it,
Mhm.
but just that would have never happened if I didn't have that. Like, because I wasn't going to be a college athlete, I didn't have the skills to do that. So there was going to be a huge gap of nothing probably, you
Mhm.
know, unless I found bodybuilding and exercising with you guys daily. Like that's what created that whole
Yeah.
new lifestyle.
Cuz you actually got into fitness before you met me. Well, I guess what was your start into fitness? You know, cuz I always give claim to like I lifted with my cousin in the garage. I needed some help, so I got on metrics, which was the only thing I knew because I'd watched The World's Strongest Man on TV. And then I
Hmm.
saw a picture of Phil Heath, and I was like, I had no idea the human body could do that. Like I knew who Arnold was, or I'd seen like Commando and Terminator and all that, but like Arnold
Uh-huh.
was just like a big dude, big muscles. I knew him as a movie star. I didn't know him as a bodybuilder. So when I saw Phil
Hmm.
Heath, I was like, "Yo, what is that?" And that was like the pinpoint. And I've told him that story too when I met him at the Arnold and the Olympia, so he
Might
knows.
have been
But
there for that.
yeah, yeah.
I think I was. Yeah, I think it could have been a couple things. So I never like fell in love with any of the sports that I was in. And that's just because it was pushed on me like by my dad to be
Mhm.
like, hey, you should be in some sort of sport, like just choose one like in college. And I chose tennis. And I had played like sports before, but that's just, you know, what I was comfortable with and stuck with. And I love tennis now, and I did love a lot of it, but it was just never a passion. I still dreaded practice and everything like that. So I met a buddy, I think you met Matt Grigsby a
Yep.
long time ago. So he was just a buddy, dude. I think I met him in Boy Scouts. Like that's the kind of kid I was. I was trying to get my firecrafter badge, like one, but I
Couldn't
met
afford
him.
that shit. Boy Scouts was just being outside in the hood. That's the same shit. Like,
Oh God, I didn't. But he, I don't think he was the healthiest kid, but he randomly just like started getting into weightlifting, and I don't know his background story. It'd be great to have him on the podcast one day.
yeah.
But he started lifting, and I was just good buddies with him, and he's just like, "Hey, do you want to come to the gym with me?" And I'd never, like, literally probably never been to a gym, and this
A
was
real
like
gym.
this in high school too. Like I never, during any of my sports, it was never like you should lift. Like that wasn't a thing back then, really. Like people doing a lot, unless you're like really wealthy or something, and you had like personal trainers. But I started getting in with him, and I was like, I just want abs. That's all I wanted. And I think it was because I think a part of it was also I got bullied in high school, and I'm sure you can see why. But
Whole cross country tennis thing kind of gave it away.
exactly.
It's back when you
Yeah.
could bully in high school.
Oh,
You're not allowed to do that anymore.
no, you can't. I also played the trumpet, so I had it coming for me.
Oh yeah, that was your
Like,
fault. That was your fault.
So I don't know if it was partially that I got bullied too, and I just wanted to feel more confident and like change who I was as a person, but that just kind of all came together, and I went to the gym one night after school, like at 9 or 10 p.m. with him, and then I was just hooked. It was just like, okay, I'll come back and do this again. And then I started, like you said, Phil Heath, I started seeing like muscle magazines, which I'd never seen before either. And like Steve Cook, who and you guys can look up, but just big fitness model, pretty boy too. That's why I probably drew to him. But I was just like, that's who I want to look like. And so he was a big push. I started dating a girl who was from the same hometown as Austin. So that translated into me meeting him, and his dad was a bodybuilder and everything. So everything just kind of like started flowing together.
Right.
And then once I went to college and I didn't have tennis anymore, it was like, all right, what am I going to do with my time? And it was just like bodybuild, like fitness. And then I met friends through Ball State University. So I did my first year. And then when I transferred to IU, I talked my way into getting into your guys's living learning community, which focused on fitness and wellness. And then from there, it's just like,
we prayed you onto that floor. I'm trying to tell you, we called
really
in every favor. We called every person we knew.
Dude, everybody was like, even people who didn't know me were like, hey, you gotta let this kid on the floor. He's all about fitness. Like, like I'm pretty sure I was a marketer for the LLC, and I even had that on my resume at some point. And I was like, looking back, I was like, I literally don't think I did a single thing besides like help plan a ski trip or something. I was like, but I was considering myself a part of the fitness and wellness living learning community. Yeah, that's how it all started, and it just kept going from there. We had a gym in our basement, first floor of our dormitory. Like, what better setup do you have than that?
Yeah it's crazy too, because I remember meeting you and Austin being like, yeah, that's my boy Trey, like he's into bodybuilding like we are and whatnot, and you walked in at like all of 160 pounds, and I was like, is he?
Not even.
I was like, he's definitely into bodybuilding, Austin, for sure. Austin's at like, whatever he weighed, and
He was
still probably 300 and something pounds at the time, so
yeah, he was like in contest prep, or he was about to step on stage under the lights with his shredded abs, and like, oh, my buddy, he's into this too. And you're picturing, okay, somebody like Austin, and then I just pop in. They're like, hey guys, chirp from Ball State.
Because I had just prepped him for that show too. So like
here.
I've been spending every freaking waking moment with this kid.
Yeah. Oh man.
It was good times. But yeah, we started training together, what, a year after that?
Yeah, once I transferred and moved into the floor, that's when it all came together.
Because I had met you earlier, and then you transferred in, and then I remember we were at it was like a party in Drew's room, and we were talking about lifting and this, that, and the other, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this, and this. You're like, yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing, and I was like, yeah, but I probably need somebody to lift with. And you're like, oh yeah, I don't have anyone to lift with either. And I was like, so meet you
Let's do
tomorrow
that.
or like,
Oh God. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, dude, you guys are the reason, probably one of the, and I shouldn't tell my parents this, but one of the reasons, like probably one of the biggest reasons why I transferred to IU was because when I came and visited you guys,
mhm,
that whole experience of just, you know, not just like the party that we went to or one or two parties, it was like the whole atmosphere that you guys created,
mhm,
and your dorm with your swipe to access fobs, and you got this
mhm.
whole gym. Like, when the rest of IU was not like that at the time, like all the other dorms were trash pretty much.
Yeah. And
Like
Briscoe
I
was
just had this,
brand new. They had just
dude,
fixed
I
it.
just had this
Yeah.
mental thing like, why am I at Ball State when this is what another college looks like? And I was just getting a fake picture of it, but that just like completely sold it on it. And that's why I had to
Yeah.
get so many people push for me to get in that dorm after they put me in Wilkie South or something, where all the
Yeah.
transfer kids go, which was like where all the international kids were too. It's like, what happened? This is not what I
And it was
pictured.
like all the way
But
across campus too. So like
oh,
IU
it's
is
so fun.
huge. For anybody that's listening and has not been to Indiana University in Bloomington, like it is massive. So like Trey is like, I say across campus, like I'm talking like he was a couple miles away, like
Hmm.
not close at all. So
Yeah,
we'd
it
like have
was
to
like
drive
a,
down there and pick him up, bring him back to the gym, and then he'd be at Briscoe all day anyway with us. So it was like, why don't you
yeah.
just live
Oh
here?
yeah, because it was like it had to be like a planned day. I had to choose. I'm going all the way up to the north side. I don't remember what we called that neighborhood of
Yeah.
dorms and stuff,
Yeah.
but
It's actually called North.
like,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so that was like I had to choose to come all the way up there. But I mean, that's, yeah, I love looking back at that because that's just what made everything happen, and that's what like changed my life completely. So yeah, I'd love to go back. I always think about that too because I like cooking. I kind of like cooking, but I don't like the time I waste cooking. And I always look back at that life and I'm like, man, like if I could just have somebody make all my food, like have a food court and then just go scan it, like life would just be so much simpler because that's all we did was eat, lift, sleep, party, repeat, or something like that.
Yeah. The class was
But
in there somewhere.
yeah, a little bit of class.
Every
I
now
don't
and
think
again.
my GPA was too much better than yours.
Yeah,
And then you have
it was
Austin
definitely
on the
better
other
than
side of
mine,
the
buddy.
spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Austin somehow did everything we did, but
somehow
also
did that.
managed a 4.0. I have no idea.
Yeah,
That
just
kid was not human. He would also like disappear though
staunch.
into like his like flashcard like
He did.
dungeon. And we wouldn't
Yeah,
see him for
he,
like 36 hours. Then he'd come back like all red-eyed.
yeah, a little bit of an obsession. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but whatever it was, it worked for him, but it came
Yeah,
at a
well, I
cost
mean,
too.
in talking about wellness and educational wellness, I mean, I think at that time, rather than having a true balance and a true overview of wellness and happiness and fulfillment in all these different areas, I think there was like little snapshots of obsession into each one, right? So it was like social wellness, like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then it was physical wellness obsession, like not physical wellness, physical obsession 6 days a week, whatever that we lifted, right? And then it was like, okay, cool, midterms are coming up. Okay, so we're gonna get slammed into educational, like again, have to obsess now because we haven't done any of the work and we only went to class half the time. So it was just like
Hmm.
little periods of like these obsessive, like almost cramming moments in our lives as we floated through college. And it's like maybe if we would have tried to like have a little bit more of a plan, it would have been a good idea. But I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm a first generation college student, so I had no clue what to do when I got to school. And I think a lot of parents try to like let you go through that period and kind of figure it out on your own, which is really, really cool. Cause like you got to be able to go out on your own and figure it out for yourself sometimes. And I think even if I had had someone over my shoulder telling me like, hey, you should probably do it like this, I probably still would have preferred the way that we did it, just because it was like it was legitimately fun and it was legitimately, it was a learning experience. And like you said, we wouldn't have the things that we got out of it if we hadn't gone through it. Right.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, talking about like if anybody on this podcast is listening and is in college, like to make sure that you balance that educational wellness too, because for me, like crammed so much for the exams that, that a lot of that stuff never went into long-term like memory. And like, I know a lot of it, like I will never use. So it doesn't need to be there regardless. But like, I wish, like, I don't have any regrets with college, but I do wish that I would have balanced the studying aspect a little bit more and been more. But like, I wasn't first gen, like you were. My dad was first gen, so I was like right after him, but he never really like talked or ever. He's more of a quiet guy, so I never like knew exactly like how I should go about this, and it was just like I just kind of got thrown in it. Maybe some of my ADD is a partial reason why I didn't study too, but yeah, and finding the passion for just lifting weights instead. But
Right.
hey, it all worked out, right?
Hey, yeah. I mean, got the degree,
Made
right?
some
I mean,
made some good memories. Yeah, I got better memories because I didn't study. No.
yeah, no, you definitely need to study. You definitely need to put, you're there to get an education. You're there to get everything out of it. I just, one of
Yeah.
the things I learned in undergrad was there was a professor that told me take classes by the best professors. It doesn't matter what subject they are. You're going to learn the most. And I wish I would have heard that like freshman year. Maybe I would have ended up with a totally different degree. Maybe I'd ended up with the same degree, but I think I would have gotten a lot more out of the education piece because like I know for me, like I'm a good test taker. I know I can pretty much sit down and regurgitate all this stuff. I'm really good at cramming, I'm good at memorization of stuff. I'm just not good at like the accountability and like I'm gonna be here every day and like, oh, there was a pop quiz in class and that was 10 points and it's like, whatever, I don't really care, like I'll take the B and I'll roll,
Hmm.
and then eventually my
Hmm.
senior year I was like, I mean, I passed.
Yeah.
So it's definitely important to do that. But I want to shift gears
Yeah.
here just a little bit. Because we're just gonna keep bringing up old stories and going down memory lane here. But
Yeah. Well, one thing before you do,
go ahead.
I do think um that's important too, is to find, like you said, find the right classes to take and everything. But I love how I did it too and chose to make a big jump and change colleges and everything because I didn't have, like, I did say like I moved there for you guys and to have that experience, but another piece was, fitness was becoming my life
Mm,
and there was no degree that I could really do that at Ball State. Like it wasn't until I found the health fitness specialist degree within kinesiology bachelor that like that's what I was like, okay, that's exactly what I want to do. That's what I want to study, everything about health, movement, I know disease prevention, all that
mm,
stuff. And I don't think if I didn't choose that, I don't think I would have been using anything, maybe not using anything that I learned if I would have like, because I originally was thinking like psychology and stuff, and it
mm.
just, because I was like, oh, I'm good talking to people, and like I'm like a good person that like your friends come up to and say I have relationship problems with my boyfriend. It's like, yeah, I can like talk your off and give you good advice. So I thought I was gonna go that route, but because I didn't have a girlfriend ever, so it was like, yeah, go to Trey and talk to him.
Those who
He's always,
cannot do teach, right?
yeah, he's always in the friend zone. So like that's the guy you want to talk to because he's like getting
That guy.
inside with the girls. um, but yeah, so, and I guess part of that is still with me, like, being a health coach with GNC, and what I'm trying to do now is I want to coach all that stuff. Just more specifically on all the wellness wheel. So that still is relationships and all that stuff too. But now the bigger picture. So anyways, wrapping that segment up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think it's and it's cool that you figured out what you wanted to do a little bit earlier. I mean, yeah, you've had to pivot a couple times, and GNC, and now you're going into the coaching and everything. It's still kind of the same vein, but
Hmm.
I had no clue until I got to grad school. I mean, when people ask me like, "Oh, what was your undergrad?" and I'm like, "Bourbon,"
Dude,
right?
I
And
don't
that's
even,
that's what I did the most.
not sure I know what your undergrad is like, but I
Right?
know exactly what you did grad school and on and what you're doing now. Because
Yeah.
that's what that was the switch.
Undergrad, undergrad. I have a bachelor of liberal studies, which is general education, and
Okay.
then I have minors in public health, history, and math. So yeah,
Yep, that's about as general studies as you can get.
Exactly. I mean, I was really good at finite. I really liked history, public health because they had the fitness classes. That's how we ended up.
There we go. Yep.
But yeah, switching gears. And again, just trying to, I guess, move us forward in our timeline here. We're just kind of going down memory lane.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to wellness and when it comes to, specifically physical wellness, right? Because I mean, there's other areas of wellness, I think, because of bodybuilding and because of like we talked about, that, the determination, the, being able to overcome things, being able to kind of run through the brick wall, like you said. I think there are a lot of other areas that like I'm really proficient in because of bodybuilding, because I learned a lot of those skills that are applicable. It was almost the reverse for me for physical wellness. It's a little more obsessive than it needs to be, and I find that I run into a lot more problems in this area. And you wouldn't think that with me being who I am and having the letters after my name now that I do. You'd think it'd be like, oh, physical fitness and all that stuff's great, and it's like, yeah, on paper and for my job, I'm really good at it, but personally, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard, man. And so I know we talked about it a little bit, but I was gonna say, as you transition now, and you said you're in a much happier place. I just want to know what that's like for you, right? Because like for me personally, and I'm not trying to talk over you this whole podcast. I feel like it's like our interview, not just yours. But like
No,
for
you're good.
me, I've noticed that I have to be more analytical, a little more technical, and kind of like slow myself down a little bit whenever I'm actually in the gym and I'm actually, working on my health. Because if I
Mm-hmm.
don't and I just like move forward and rely on habit, like my habits are not wellness, my habits are bodybuilding. So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you ran into some of those same issues, or if you want to talk about, I guess, that transitional period.
Yes. So mine has a lot to do with like listening
Mhm.
to my body. Um, so,
What do you mean by
you
that? You mean
know,
like instinctive training, or what do you mean?
just like what, so like I've grown from just straight bodybuilding to like changing a lot of like not just bodybuilding training, but doing other things in life and taking days off from the gym that like classify as exercise and physical fitness, um, that like I'm happy with and can say I worked out and feels a lot better on my body in certain times. So um I guess what I'm trying to say is like I might have like overdone it a lot when it was just bodybuilding, and that's why those pains I had like plantar fasciitis for so long, because I was trying to build
Mm,
my calves so much that I was training them way too much. And I was heavier too, so I was probably putting more weight on me. My knees, like I was squatting like 365, and like I think my max deadlift was like 500. So like that's not obviously impressive to like power lifters and everything, but for somebody who's supposed to be 150 pounds, like maybe like
right.
it's a lot. So
It's two and a
I've
half body
I've
weight
come
squat. I
I've
mean,
yeah, right. So I guess what I'm trying to say is when I'm saying listening to my body, it's like accepting what who I am and like what body I was given and doing the things that feels good for it. I still love training and bodybuilding. I do it still 4 days a week, probably. But I'm listening a lot more. So as far as like the weight that I'm doing, or I'm trying to implement a lot more cardiovascular work in there because I know that um, it makes me feel more energized through the rest of the day and through the week if I've got more cardio up. I've grown to like in the last podcast, I said that I started to be a kid again after I quit my 3-year job, and I started doing things that are just fun, like rock climbing, bouldering, slacklining, just a lot of outdoor activities. I just did a 30-mile hike out in Death Valley and Zion. So I'm looking at physical wellness at a bigger picture now instead of just my training. And that's still a big part of it because it's something that I think I'm really good at, and I've learned from you, and something that I can control really well. But I've also just broadened my whole like physical fitness wheel, and, you know, learning to just listen to my body in ways of like what feels good, what makes me feel good, and what makes other parts of my wheel feel good. So not just like satisfying my physical wellness, but I just did 30 miles of hiking, and I've got a lot of like the meditative likeness, and like mental like health is just like up like over the roof now. And, you know, being outside and one with like nature and all that kind of silly stuff too, but like all of that like
It's not
plays a
silly,
part.
man. I
So
mean, it's, you know, it's your pursuit of wellness, right?
yeah, so just listening to my interests and not just trying to, because forever I wanted to be like Steve Cook. I wanted to be that look, and it was like I was trying to want to be somebody else. And not until I understood, it's like, well, I do like I would limit myself. I wouldn't like go on hikes and like try and run a lot, because it was going to affect my muscle mass and everything, because that's what the data shows. Like, and it wasn't until I truly like accepted who I was and started to figure out this is the kind of person I want to be. I want to be functional. I want to be able to, you know, do lots of different physical activities, and my body not to be mad at me if I want to go try and do it. Like, I don't want to go hiking. I'm not going to be able to go hiking if I squat twice a week and my knees are screaming at me. So yeah, it's just it's a lot of just listening, I guess.
Yeah. So would you say that you're, you know, because you know me, I'm big on goal setting, and I'm big on, you know, like what is your intention, right? So like for me, when I finally decided like I'm gonna get my back better, and I'm gonna start, you know, trying to get rid of some of this pain that's in my life every single day. And quick shout out to our other co-founder Austin, who is actually dealing with some back pain issues right now. That's why he wasn't able to be on the podcast tonight. Hopefully he gets to feeling better soon. Trust me, I know about it. But whenever I started setting my quote unquote new goals, you know, whenever we're like, look, we're doing this, we're going to do it right, we're going to do it with wellness intentions. You know, I was like, I'm not going to bench squat or deadlift more than 400 pounds anymore. You know, I was like, that's plenty. Okay. Like any quote unquote normal human being is like, that's ridiculously strong. Like, you know, it's a ton of weight. And in my mind, I'm like, I could do way more than that. Like that's that's nothing. Right. But I was like, no, like that's what I'm doing. And if I end up doing them for an easy 100 reps each on each of them, awesome. I'm never going to 405. I'm gonna do 405. I'm never going to 410, you know?
Yeah. That's an important switch to make, because I can be the same way, where I'm like, dude, I know I used to do that much weight.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll push it a little bit and I regret it. Like I remember me and you we'd be able to do shoulder press like over 100 pounds with dumbbells, each 100 pounds. And
yeah, almost like 150. Yeah.
I'll go into the gym and I'll be like, oh, I can do that. And I haven't been doing them for a while, or I haven't been doing anywhere close to it. Like, yeah, let me pump up 90s. Let me pump up 95s. And then I end up like tweaking my neck out and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, see, Trey, this is why we said, like, we're going to focus on the bigger picture here. You can just like be happy that you did that one day and like have the story like, oh yeah, I used to lift that much.
Right.
But like, it's time to move on and focus on the bigger wellness picture.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's an important transition to make.
Right. I mean, that's what I was gonna say, you know, because like with my goals, like now it's like I'm trying to push up more reps. I'm trying to just feel good in my shoulders and my elbows, and you know,
Same.
maybe that means that, you know, I'm only gonna pick up, you know, the 120s for shoulder press, or you know, the you know, I'm gonna pick up the 80s today. You know, I'm not feeling it, you know, and knowing like damn good and well I can do the 160s if I wanted to, but it's like I'm gonna leave them over there, you know, and not to mention like getting them out of the rack, that's gonna load my lower back, getting them up to my knees. I'm gonna be bruised in my knee. I'm gonna bruise my shoulder trying to get it up there. It's like, you know, my goals are different now, and I think that's one of the biggest things. You know, I still have that ability to kind of go to that other place, and we can talk about the mental, you know, mind. I'm gonna have to bleep this, but mind that is. And you know, I call it going through the door, or going to that other place and everything else. And it's a place that you take yourself whenever you need to get something done. And I've talked about this a little bit before. So I still have the ability to do that, but I'm finding it's a lot healthier to sort of leave those demons behind that door and set my goals up to where it's like it's more attainable, number one, and it's goal based to where like it's not a I have to do this or I'm a failure or I'm gonna die if I don't do this, you know, like
Hmm.
again, I keep referencing my last interview. My last interview, I talked about that leg press set where I tore the connective tissue on the back of my skull. And whenever you were like smacking me, like telling me like keep going, you have to keep going. It's like that's the piece that I think I've had to remove to really start to look at this from a wellness perspective, is that like you have to do it. You know, like
Hmm.
you have to do it or you're a complete failure. Like, and there'd be this black cloud hanging over me the rest of the day if I didn't complete those sets and those reps. And I think for me, removing that was a big part. And I know you were that way too. So I guess talk about your goals and talk about what it's been like to set new goals, or have you set new goals?
Yeah, that's definitely important because I mean anybody who has like a fitness background or just anybody who's gotten into fitness, and if they have like whether you call it a setback or you're just getting older and you can't do the things that you used to do, it's very important to look at that in a positive like mindset and perspective. Like instead of going like, like I need to get back there. Like I need to keep pushing this and overdoing it. Because that's, you look back and you're like, that's where I was happy. That's whatever. But that's not what's going to make you happy in the future. So that's that's been huge with me too. And to talk about the other place, like that's a great segment that we should tap into in like a whole different podcast,
Get
because
around to mental wellness.
I know the other place too, and like
Yeah.
we definitely found that in our bodybuilding years, and there's a good that's come from that in other parts of life, and being able to just go through the door like that stuff. But yeah, attainable goals. I think it is important to set um, goals that you're going to. You just need goals that like you can set and you can be happy with them, and they don't have to be like anything like crazy. Like it's important to have short-term goals and long-term goals, and um yeah, they just need to be like going forward, like keep going forward. It doesn't,
Yeah.
as long as it's going forward, like that's what's important. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I talk a lot about like perfectionism and like not having that kind of mindset, or like at least not letting it like break you down if you're not perfect on everything. Because I've
Right.
I've dealt with that, and I've had friends deal with that, where you know that being like that perfectionist makes them a really powerful person, whether it comes to studying or other parts of life and just getting stuff done. But that one time that it's like something's not perfect, it can just like crash you. So going into goal setting with that, it's, you need to accept like that you need to accept the goals that you're creating that won't have to be like above and beyond.
Mm.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to say like it's good to set above and beyond goals, but it's okay if you don't reach those above and beyond goals. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the idea that what you're trying to say, at least. I don't want to speak for you, but I think what you're trying to say is by setting smaller, more attainable goals, you can build on those to bigger goals. And should you fail a smaller or a bigger goal, it's not the end of the world. You know, I mean, I
Mm,
think I'm on the same page with you, where it's like if you're setting goals and it's like you're consistently failing those goals, it's like, well, let's maybe reevaluate. Let's maybe do something that's a little bit more in your wheelhouse, or maybe evaluate why we're failing those goals. But at the same time, like if you're setting goals that you should be able to complete, you're just not completing them because of outside life stress or, other factors, because like again, all the stuff that happens when you're not on your pursuit of wellness is, life.
mhm,
So,
right.
there's a lot of factors that go into goals and completing goals. So I think that's been one of the biggest things for me, is being a little more realistic about whenever I do fail certain goals, because I mean, like let's get a little deep here for a minute, as we're as we're going into almost the hour mark of this podcast. There was a long time, and I'm sure you're the same way, or we're the same way, There was a long time, and there's even times now where I will look in the mirror and be like, you're a failure. You're disgusting. Like like look at what you were. Like what are you now? And I have to kind of like check myself a little bit. Like, okay, like number one, like you're happy, your wife's happy, your family's doing well. Like, what does it matter what you look like? And you're actively working on it every day. So it's like, you can't fault anybody who's working on it, but like
Mhm.
sometimes I do, and it's crazy that we like when we quote unquote fail at something, like we hold ourselves to that standard and we start to like berate and belittle ourselves. And like you even see it sometimes like with other people, like try to say like, that guy never he talks a big game, but he never does anything, blah, blah, blah. And it's like why do we do that as a people? Like why do we try to like belittle somebody who's actively trying to get better? Like, yeah, maybe they didn't do everything they said they were going to do, but like they're not in the same spot they were. They at least the only time I would fault somebody is if like, yeah, man, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then they never get off the couch. That's the only time you can fault somebody, because you can't complain about
Mhm.
results you didn't get with work you didn't do. But if you actively put in and tried, dude, I can't fault you for that.
Yeah. And I think that goes into like your happiness, like you said, with yourself. Like if you're starting to beat down on other people or judge people who that you see it at the gym or at work or whatever, it's trying to lift yourself out of the hole that you've put yourself in
Mm.
because you're looking at yourself and you're like, you're disgusting. I'm not happy. And I had a huge phase of that where it was just like an I'm never satisfied, not happy phase. And um part of that was just try and be somebody else. Like I said, I wanted to be that bodybuilder and I never got there. Like I did put on 100 pounds, but I never got there. I didn't have the other people. Like it just wasn't me. It wasn't me to get up on stage like how Austin did. And I never did that. So it's like, but I kept that image in my head that it's like, that's what I want to be. And I didn't let anything else, I didn't let any other opportunities or like ideas of who I wanted to be like come into my mind. I was like, no, I want
Mm.
to be fitness God sort of thing. And it was just like, I was never satisfied and I was never happy with myself. And I think there's an important phrase that I've adopted. Um, and I used to always say never satisfied, like
Mm.
never satisfied in the gym, never satisfied. And it wasn't until I put proud but in front of it, like that was a change, like proud but never satisfied, and
Right.
being able to be very happy with where I've come and where I hope to see myself going and just be proud in the moment. But still like have those goals that can be way up in the stars, um, and never be satisfied and wanting to reach those, but still be like proud. And I think we talked about that in one of the earlier podcasts, or maybe you guys did. But just enjoying the ride and doing something that you love to do. And talking about like physical wellness, like you just have to find your passion for that. And like if you're setting goals for yourself in the gym, but you hate the gym, like maybe we should take a step back and be like,
Right.
okay, why don't we choose something else that you like to do? Like maybe you are a hiker, maybe you're a swimmer. Like there's so many other things that you could set goals for that are going to satisfy that like physical wellness piece. So I think it's accepting like who you are and who you like to be, and not so much like obsessing over like, dude, everybody's like on their phones on Instagram wanting to be somebody else.
Oh,
Like
I'm
I
telling
used
you.
to follow like I used to follow like 50 people, like fitness models, like girls and guys, and it was just like this fantasy land that I was just
Yeah.
like, I want to. And it wasn't until I just removed all that at least for a while, and I still don't really follow anybody, but it wasn't until I got out of that phase where I made that switch where I was like proud of who I am and like
Yeah.
started to accept who I was and like in every way possible. Like I used to hate that I have curly hair because it was just everybody else had straight hair that they could do. And then it wasn't until I accepted my curls and like worked with him, like worked with what you had.
Right.
I know this is kind of a weird way of saying it, but like accepting who you are in every single way and just working with what you have. And that goes into all parts of the wellness wheel. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy how
Definitely.
all that stuff comes
Yeah, I think,
together.
I think self-acceptance is huge, because like everyone thinks like, oh, like bodybuilders and fitness models, like they must be so happy with themselves. They look freaking great, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, are you kidding me? They hate themselves.
There's some of the
The
people with the most problems
worst.
with their self-image.
The
Oh yeah.
worst. I was so bad, dude. Like even now, like is not as bad as I was. Like we used to nitpick each other like to the ends of the
Oh yeah.
earth, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
and I don't think I ever had self-acceptance, even whenever I was absolutely at my strongest, my leanest, my biggest. Like I was never had self-acceptance because it was always, it was either like entirely like body dysmorphia or it was entirely like vanity, right? Where it was like, I look great, I'm bigger than everybody here, I'm stronger than everybody here, no one can say anything to me. And it was like this, like 100, it was either like narcissist or it was like completely like, oh my god, I'm so small, I hate everything I'm doing, blah blah blah. And it's like maybe 5 pounds happened between the two of those. It's just, it's crazy. And it's like now that I'm starting to look at this again from a wellness perspective and kind of being a little more realistic, it's like, man, like be proud of who you are, be proud of what you've done, and just be okay with the fact that, like, yeah, I've put on a little bit of weight. It's like, yeah, I did I did 3 degrees and I have a really demanding job, but you know what, again, like my wife is happy, the car I drive retails for any house I ever lived in as a kid. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in my life that I need to be proud of. A
Yeah.
little bit of a quick, can I flex a little bit with everybody?
I love that. Yeah, dude, that's huge. And that's so tough in our day and age. And like I hope that being a part of uPOW, like that's something that we can offer people too, is just
Yeah.
advice on the mental game and accepting who you are and working with it and not, it's just so many people like just on their phones wishing they were different people, and it's like I see no end to it. So it's
Yeah, it's
scary,
crazy.
but there's definitely easy things and healthy things that you can do to just completely change that and change your whole like even going on a sabbatical, like turning off all your apps for
Mm.
a month or even a week can just make a huge difference in like your mental game and just your creative outlet. Like once you just have you in your mind or whatever,
Right. Or even
then
finding your creative outlet. We talked about that
yeah,
last
finding,
season. That's huge. A lot of people
yeah,
don't even know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
huge.
we occupy ourselves with stimulation so much that we don't have the chance to find that creative outlet because we're just so continuously immersed in stuff. This is a
Yeah.
whole different topic, but like immersed in media, like Netflix, and then I'm guilty of it too. Like going from
100%.
Netflix, going to my phone, going like it can be never stopping if you want it to, and it's important to um, at least balance that, if not get rid of a lot of that, but
Yeah.
balance it so
Well, and I
that
mean, like,
your wheels.
interjecting some positivity too. Don't just be like
Hmm.
constantly like seeking, seeking, seeking. Take a minute to reflect, take a minute to try and open up your mind. That's one of the things, and this is a shameless plug, but one of the things that I've really noticed since going on this project and going on my own pursuit of wellness and trying to help everybody else with their pursuit of wellness is like, I'm thinking bigger, and I finally see
Hmm.
things holistically, and I didn't do that for a long time. Like even with people, even with coworkers, I was like, why is that guy such a dick all the time? Blah blah blah. And then now I can finally see it. I'm like, oh, he's got this and this and this going on. That's why he's lashing out because he's unhappy with this area, and this makes more sense. And everyone's like, you got all that from that one sentence? And I'm like, yeah, these podcasts are really starting to really starting to take
Yeah.
us places.
Oh my God. Yeah. You notice it more and more. The more you dive into your own wellness, the more you can see the issues with yourself and then with others and be a positive asset for those, like help other people around you. And like do to others what you would want to be done to you, but and also grow yourself. And I think it's important to start with yourself too, independently, before you like take on somebody else or somebody else's problems.
Yeah. You know, I noticed that every time I like tried to put good into being a good person for both myself and others, like I always leveled up because of that. You know,
Mhm.
it's like, you know, you believe in karma, you believe in, you know, like you said, treat others how you want to be treated. You know, you genuinely, when you put good in, you get good back. And I think when you put bad in, you get bad back. You know, that's
Mhm.
how I feel about it genuinely.
Yeah.
Sound like a Southern
Same.
pastor there. So that's how I feel about it genuinely.
I'm on the same
I'm
page.
editing that out for sure.
Oh God.
I was gonna say I do like, I don't know, I like the idea of, I guess, checking in on each other, you know, and seeing how we're all doing. So it's good to know that you're doing well, and you know, I wish you the best, and we're very happy to have you here. Obviously, you know, overjoyed
Happy to be
to,
here.
yeah, I mean, overjoyed to have, you know, growing our team and continuing to bring good people in who are going to help. And you know, I think that's one of the things too, is like we're all on the same mission. You know, we're all genuinely trying to make each other's lives and everyone else's lives a better place. Lives a better
Mhm.
place. It's We're genuinely trying to make each other's lives better just by working harder and trying to put, you know, more good things out into the universe. You know, and I just think that's why I get out of bed in the morning. That's why I feel good about this, and you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been a journey to get there, but being a part of your pursuit of wellness has like just magnified that and amplified that. And there's going to be some great things coming with it, and just excited to like transform a lot of people, either their perspective or a big portion of one of their wellness pieces, just so that they can be happy with who they are and happy with themselves, and uh, spread that to the people that they're around. Like I think it's so important to surround yourself with like positive energy people and everything, and getting yourselves out of situations that are nasty. And
mhm.
yeah, I think this is a great platform to make some of that stuff like jumpstart and happen.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped.
Yeah, well, I can tell you we're pumped to have you, and you guys will be hearing much more from Trey in the coming months and the coming seasons. Until next time, I'm Shawn.
Shawn, I appreciate you having me again. I'm Trey.
All right, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
See ya.